All right. Thank you for joining us. My name is Danielle, and tonight we have Jamie Smale with us, and he is an amazing healer, and he uses several methods, but one of them that we're going to discuss tonight, I believe, is NLP. He's going to be answering questions, and if anyone would like to have an experience with it, that's what we're here for tonight. So, Jamie, take it away.
Oh, thank you. Okay, thanks, Daniela. So this is actually a part 2, isn't it? Because we did last week, we talked a little bit about this stuff, and we were talking really about, the mechanics of it and the psychology of it. And this time we're going to talk more practical, so it's going to be very interesting. And what I would like to do is go through the process of how you can help yourself to get empowered and to overcome past disempowering events that have negative memories and make you feel pretty lousy. So, I'm going to walk through a process by which you can really, get a remedy, if you like, for that. Okay, but before we do, because it's not too lengthy a process, I don't want to make it too complicated, but I just want to start off very early, especially as some people might not stay for the entire video. I want to give a few quick tidbits as to how you can change your mood very quickly. Okay, so there are some very quick, and a lot of these will seem rather obvious, but they're obvious, but there's things that we forget to do. So a very quick way that you can turn yourself from maybe an apathetic or a negative state of mind into a very positive, upbeat, and empowering state is your physiology or your body language. Oh, I see Glenda here. Hello, Glenda.
Hi, Glenda.
Yeah. So your body language, or more so your physiology, is very, very powerful when you change that. Okay. So oftentimes we find that we are slouching, and then when we were growing up as children, your parents say, "Don't slouch," So when you slouch, whether you are aware of it or not, it does affect your mood, and the evidence.
Really?
Absolutely, it does, yeah. Because the evidence of that is, and we can try it right now. Anyone who's watching, and maybe yourself, if you'd like to try it, just change your posture to a more positive posture. Just like sit up straighter, right? Maybe hold your head up, sit up straight. Just adopt a very deliberate, as if you're sitting in a job interview. Okay, and I want to ask you to observe, how does that make you feel?
I feel more alert, but if anybody has any questions, because I see some people have jumped off, if you have any questions, Jamie's going to do a Q&A. So I feel more alert and powerful.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's subtle, but it works. So the very way that you carry yourself, the way that you walk down the street, okay, this makes a big difference, right? Because we can intentionally and very deliberately adopt a posture, and we can carry ourselves in a way that makes you feel very confident. And it's nice to meet you too, Brenda.
Right?
Sorry, beg your pardon?
It confident, which would lead to more successful.
Yeah.
Now, I definitely see with that quick switch, that's awesome. But would it be able to help me, like from past, like traumatic experiences, fearful, like phobias, things like that nature? Like, by the way,
Yeah.
nice to meet you.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're going to talk more about that specifically in just a moment. But yeah, I mean, it definitely does put you in a power state. But I think what we need to do is we just need to kind of switch for a second and talk about, why do we need to be empowered emotionally? And, because it's important. And there is a reason why, right? If we think back to past successes in our lives, right? Like, how often, let me ask you this, how often have you had a really good day when you feel really miserable?
Do you mean
it happens, but how often does it happen?
Do you mean physically miserable?
Yeah, I mean, just generally disempowered. When you feel like miserable, maybe because if you're physically miserable, you're going to, the knock-on effect is you're going to be either emotionally miserable or at least emotionally disempowered.
Okay.
And how often does that result in a really good day?
To break through, but you can do it like you said. And for me, that will happen if somebody shows me kindness.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That can help switch me, but
Yeah.
if you're coming from a more positive stance, right?
Yeah, of course it can switch. You know, I mean, you know, if by lunchtime you find yourself feeling happier.
You have to really make a decision.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, and you know, but that's the bottom line: is that like, if we reminisce and think back to the past, of good days and bad days, it's an interesting exercise to do that. You know, and we should all do it from time to time. You know, we need to take, you know, do an analysis, if you like, of good days versus bad days. You know, you'll notice a pattern on good days where you've achieved a lot and a lot has gone your way. You're generally more empowered and you generally are feeling better emotionally, right? And the flip side of that is that if we're having a bad day, generally we're not feeling very good. And you know, it's like what comes first, the chicken or the egg? You know, when bad things happen, we can feel miserable. When we're feeling miserable, bad things can happen. So it works both ways, but it's a vicious cycle, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so it is important to feel empowered, because when we're empowered, and that's a very general term, okay, but when we're emotionally charged, if you like, if I can put it that way, we get better results in our day-to-day lives. Yeah, so that's why it's important. Okay, so hey, hello, Joseph.
Something to eat if you're hungry.
Yeah, I've just eaten.
Glenn, tell you that it was very nice to meet you. She was talking to you.
Oh yeah. No, I saw that. It's nice to meet you also. Yeah, and thank you. Yeah. So you'll notice as well, like there's certain things that we can do, like, you know, the way that we hold ourselves. Like Daniela, if you try this, just put your fingers together. Yeah. I always think that looks like really odd, and I wouldn't want to sit in a room full of people and do that, because it just looks odd, or it looks like you're stuck.
People do this though.
Yeah, they do, and they do it for a reason. And you know, people that are in the public eye, they get trained in these types of things, you know, and they're told to do these things for a very specific reason. See, when you go to a job interview, well, no, not when you go to a job interview, but if you're like getting training for a job interview, because people do, there is such a thing as job interview training, right? People like go and get tips and advice, and they're told like how you should carry yourself, how you should sit, how you should be physiologically, right? Now, the thing is that we often think that is because we're doing it to impress the other person, right? Well, partly it's that, but it's not all that, you know. It's also because it triggers more confidence in us. It has a trigger effect on the inside of us, you know, by having a certain physiology and carrying yourself a certain way, you know, sitting in a certain position, you know, holding your shoulders the right way, you know, like what you do with your hands, it all matters. It all creates more confidence and, you know, a more empowered emotional state within us. So yeah, so these are like, it's like fast food, if you like. So I wanted to bring these things up because, you know, everyone wants, like, you know, how can I have a quick pick me up? Yeah. And that's it. I mean, there's some like quick pick me ups, if you like, some quick solutions, how we can, you know, obviously if we've got some serious issues in our lives, it's going to take a little bit more work than just, you know, maybe carrying yourself a little differently, but these things work. And also, I know, Daniela, in your teachings that you do on your channel, you've spoken in a few videos, because I watch your videos about self-care, and that's another really big one as well. You know, caring for ourselves and, you know, caring about the way that we look. I mean, hey, before I came onto this interview, I brushed my teeth, but it wasn't for you because you can't smell my breath because we're on webcam, right? But it made me feel better to have fresh breath, so I brush my teeth. It has an effect. If you don't even leave your house the entire day, I mean, hey, I often let myself go because I work from home, and oftentimes I don't go out and I don't interact with people the whole entire day. But I find that if I make the conscious effort to make myself look nice and smell nice, then it makes me have a better day. So these things, they do work. What do you think?
I agree.
Yeah, like tidying the house makes you feel 100
Absolutely.
times better.
Absolutely. Now, I'm just curious, we have a few people on, if they have any questions for you, something they'd like to gain from this evening. So I'm
Sure.
just giving them that opportunity. And until we hear that, you can share some of the other things, like that makes sense, the way that you dress, because I know that I always feel better. Like, what do I always say to you? I got to doll myself up. Like, it definitely has an impact on me, huge. The way that I dress, doing my makeup, doing hair. And I don't always have to do the makeup, because if I feel good inside, I don't mind not wearing makeup. But if I don't feel good inside, I can have makeup and still not, to me, look good. So it does impact it. Like little thing. But it's, again, the chicken or the egg situation. I think we have a question here. Give me a moment.
Oh yeah, certainly. Okay.
It's Glenda. Okay. Like, when you're having a not so good day and a stranger pays you, yes, a random compliment, that can change your day. And it's funny that you say that, Glenda, because I have a habit of letting things fly through me. I think that's very important. It would be a better world if people shared kindness. If you like somebody's dress, to say, wow, that's a really lovely outfit you're wearing, the shoes, whatever it is, great haircut. I do it because it's just a natural thing for me. But what they beam, it's almost like somebody turning a light on inside of them after you pay a genuine compliment. Can't be fake. And then the weird thing is, you can feel their energy back at you. Like, it's just a lovely feeling. So yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree too.
What direction do you want to go in now?
Myself? Okay. Well, what I did is this afternoon I prepared a recipe, if I can call it that, of how to get yourself empowered via a meditation, but not a complex meditation. It doesn't have to be like, a whole lot of stress about, am I meditating in the right way? It's just a very simple sit down and relax, go through a mental walkthrough, and deal with some stuff, get empowered, and also try to deal with some of the negativity that has affected us. So I can, go through a walkthrough of that. And also as well, because it's not an awful lot to take in, but at the same time, not everyone's going to remember everything that they hear. So I've got an infographic that I prepared that goes through it in numbers, step by step, nice and easy. So if you wanted to practice this
way, so this way, you teach them, you're going to give them something that they can do it with themselves. Like,
absolutely.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're welcome. Yeah.
Now, would this be helpful if, just say, somebody vandalized your car, you got laid off, like what you're going to share with them? Would it help if just something happened? You know what I mean? You could also be having a great day and then poof, something happens. Would your technique help with that as well?
Oh yeah, I believe so. I mean, certain things happen and maybe you need to go a little beyond. This is how we deal with ourselves inwardly and how we feel emotionally about a situation. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't call the police if someone vandalizes your car, because I mean that's the right thing to do as well. Yeah. So you do that, but then rather than allow yourself to be tossed to and fro emotionally, which is what most of us subject ourselves to in this life, oftentimes we go through this life and we're tossed to and fro like the wind, and we allow our emotions to just chuck us around like a rag doll, rather than learn to harness and control how we feel emotionally. So
that's true. And if you can master that, your life really improves.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
So
Yeah.
I agree.
So, mhm.
So do you
Yeah.
want to get to it?
Yeah, I can do. And if anyone has any questions at any time, just let me know. And let's get to it. Right. So basically, what you want to do first of all is, and if I was to title this something else, I might have titled it "Killing Two Birds with One Stone," and you'll see why in just a little while. Okay. So the first thing you want to do is you want to sit yourself down quietly. So this is not something that you can do like with distraction and loads of things going on. So if that is the case, then wait until you have that quiet time of the day where you can sit down. Maybe the children are at school, that kind of thing, and you can sit down and just be with yourself, right? And the first step is to take some deep breaths and relax, and just stay like that for 5 minutes, just to get yourself completely relaxed. Yeah, so that you're in the right state to think clearly and focus on the things that you're going to need to think about during this exercise, right? So that's step number one, although that step isn't on my infographic that I've prepared because it's just seemed too obvious. So just to recap, get somewhere quiet, stay there for 5 minutes and settle yourself, right? So that's the first step. Okay. And then the real first step, which is actually on my infographic, is you need to ask yourself, when were you your happiest? So the first time you do this, you might have to think about this quite a bit. You might have to think, okay, when was my happiest day in my life? When was that? If you've done this exercise before, you're going to know already, so the process will be quicker. Okay, so while you're sat there, just kind of breathing and relaxing, start to think about, when was the best day of my life? And it might not take too long to realize what day that was. So what you need to do then is to recall that time, right? And you need to relive that time mentally. And when I say relive it, I mean you need to like replay it in your mind as if you were time traveling back to that day, right? So wherever it was, you maybe were at a fairground, I don't know, or it could be anything. Maybe you're on the beach with a loved one. It could be anything. Whatever, it's different for everybody. But you need to like relive that entire, like, it might not have been the entire day. Pick like just a moment in that day when you felt the happiest, as more happy than you can remember, right? And just like relive that time. But I'm going to use the key word here, vividly, right? You need to relive it very vividly. So whatever, observe in your memory, what was the smell in the air, what were the sounds around about you at that time, what were the colors, so really recall that whole experience, engaging all your five senses. Okay, so I'm in another screen because I'm looking at my notes that I prepared earlier today, so I can't see you, Daniela, but are you still there?
I am.
Oh, okay, excellent. Yeah, jump in if you want to jump in at any time, but if not, I'll just carry on.
Just relaxing. I'm doing what you're saying.
Oh, okay, excellent. Right, so the next step, okay, and especially Daniela, if you're doing as I'm saying, and anyone else who might be listening, if you're following along, then I'm going to take this a little bit slower to allow time for contemplation and reflection. So whilst you're thinking about that experience and recalling all the detail of that time and reliving that whole thing, okay, the next step is to amplify everything, intensify it, and even exaggerate it. So, if you could feel the sun on your skin, you really feel the sun on your skin that little bit warmer, right? The colors that you see, they're just exaggerated colors. Everything's exaggerated. All the good of that moment becomes exaggerated. It becomes intensified and amplified, right? So just do that. And do it to the point that your memory becomes even better than the reality. And as you do that, I want you to observe the feeling that you now feel inside, that the memory and the exercise you're doing, that feeling that is conjured, right? That feeling of happiness, that feeling of being energized, empowered, however it is that you're feeling from that experience. Because at this point, you are imagining it so vividly, it's as if you're reliving it, literally. Because it's becoming like a daydream now. And dreams are real. When we dream, we don't know that we're dreaming. We think that it's actually happening. Okay. And now the next step is we want to really bring this pleasant experience to a big climax, right? And when it's at its most intense and it's at its climax, we're going to anchor it, okay? So we are going to associate the emotion with that memory, but we're going to create an anchor. We'll go into why in just a moment. So you need to do something that is not too familiar to you, all right? So you're not going to maybe put your hands in your pockets or something like that, because that's something we do too often. Something that is very unique. You're going to do something that's very unique to this memory, this experience that you're living right now. So it could be that you squeeze your thumb and your index finger, or it could be if you have a stone that you clench your stone, all right? Or if there's any small objects that you might want to clench it, you might want to rub it. Yeah, you might want to touch your forehead with it. You choose your anchor, but that's going to become your anchor for this specific thing. Okay. And now the next step is you need to repeat this over and over. Repetition is the key, because you need to condition your brain to make that association. The memory, the emotion with that anchor, which I'd like to call it a trigger, because we're creating a trigger that we can trigger the future flooding of this emotion. All right. So before we move on to step 5, right, what you might want to do, Daniela, is, I don't know if you've got your eyes closed, but if you open your eyes, I'll just come back into the screen. Okay. And then now go back into that experience. It'll be quicker for you because it's fresh. You've already lived it. Okay. So just relive it now. It's quicker. Do your anchor. Tell me what your anchor is so that I know.
I didn't like this.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah, that's fine.
Because it feels good to me. You know what I mean? I like the way it makes me feel. And then the memory was good. So it's like a win-win.
No, that's good. That's good. Yeah. So now, like maybe 4 or 5 times, and each time will become quicker because you're creating a habit in your thoughts, right? Habitual thoughts, right? So, and then each time you reach a climax in the happiness that you feel, then set your anchor. Yeah.
Okay. Wait till it's like that spot, the sweet spot.
Exactly. So yeah, so you do that several times. Okay, now I'll move on because I'm going to give everyone an infographic to remind you as to the steps, right? But just to get through the steps, let's move on. Okay, so that is important that you don't rush that step, okay? Because it's very important for the next step. You need to establish that neuro association, okay, of the trigger, right? The anchor. Well, it's called an anchor at this point. Later, it's going to be called a trigger, right? But at this point, it's called an anchor. But you got to create that neuro association with that happiness, that empowered state, with the anchor, okay? All right, so now what we're going to do is you're going to, and don't create problems, okay? Only do this if there is something there, all right? But if there's a trauma in your past or a problem in your past or something that triggers you to become very unhappy or disempowered or depressed, okay? Or any of those negative things that are very toxic and disempowering in your life, okay?
Yeah.
What you want to do is you want to try and receive healing for this now, right? And this is the way you do it. Okay, so you're going to do a similar exercise as the one we've just done, whereby you sit and you revisit. Okay, only this time you're not going to relive it, but you're going to observe it. So if you can imagine your memory process like replaying a movie, right? Like putting that tape into the VCR and you're going to be watching it, you're going to be playing it, all right? But you are just observing, right? So what you're going to do is in this traumatic experience, you are seeing yourself in the experience. You're on the outside looking in at yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So it's different to reliving it. And then what you're going to do during this process is you're going to do the opposite of exaggerating and amplifying and intensifying the experience. You're going to dull it. You're going to dull the color. You're going to muffle the sound where there was maybe conversations, hurtful conversations. You're going to muffle that so it's not so clear. All right. Now, the human mind is more than capable of achieving this, right? We can do whatever the hell we want with our minds, right? Because this is like our imaginations now. Yeah. So you're going to change reality, right? You're going to make it less significant as you replay this in your mind. Okay. You're going to change the story. Okay. So that it's not so bad after all. And you're going to dull the color. Now, what you might want to do is where you are in the story because it's your story, and you're on the outside observing yourself. So you might want to amplify your color and you might want to amplify your voice, but the negative, toxic people or the situations or the circumstances around you on that day or at that time in your life, you want to tone that all down, right? Change the color, muffle it, muffle the sound, but make yourself better, okay? And change the story. Okay, now, so you do that, and then here's the next step. Okay, now what you're going to do is you're going to replay the good time in your mind, but before you do, you're going to come out of that experience, okay? Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to set up this negative with this anchor and create confusion in your mind, because we just associated the anchor with the good times. You're going to come out of that experience, okay? You're going to open your eyes and you're going to just settle yourself for a moment, okay? And then you're going to do your trigger, okay? So Daniela, I don't know if you've been thinking of a time which was very upsetting and hurtful and disempowering to you, okay? But at this time, if you could go ahead and apply your trigger, right? Go ahead and apply your trigger and tell me.
What do you want me to do? You want me to get in that emotional spot? Is that what you're saying?
No, because see, now that you've done that, you create that neuro association. See, the whole purpose of this is that once you've done that, you've practiced that, you've been through those motions in your mind and you've created that neuro association through your anchor. Now you've set up a trigger that you can change your emotional state on demand. So say now you're going down the street, this is like the following day, you're going down the street and you go into a shop and someone's rude and, you're just going to do whatever you do and you'll find that because of that neuro association,
I'm going
to feel better.
Negative and I'm going to try the anchor. Okay.
Yeah. Well, don't try the anchor in your negativity.
I thought I was going to use it to switch. What am I doing?
Yeah, okay. I apologize if I'm unclear. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to come away from that and then apply your anchor.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, yeah. So now's a good time because we've been talking. You're distracted from your negativity. And now you're applying your anchor. How do you feel?
I do feel good.
Yeah, good, excellent. Yeah. See, this is what
I pick this up with you. Like when you work with me, I seem to pick it up pretty fast.
Yeah, well, I have some thoughts as to why that might be. I think it's because of your background and because you're a regular meditator. You have a vivid imagination, and because of the work you do and the daily practice.
A vivid imagination.
Sorry?
I don't believe I have a vivid imagination, but I can slip into meditation. But it just seems like, but we're talking about neural pathways. We're talking about science. So
Yeah.
I'm creating synapses and things like that to be created pretty damn fast. But I'm always working on myself, and you know that. So maybe that's why.
Yeah, could be. Yeah. Hey, sorry,
I've had to do this.
Sorry.
Because of the brain injury, remember, I've had to repair this.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, I'm going to sit up here. I like that advice.
Yeah, sure. That's fine. Just while you're enjoying that, I just want to explain for anyone who's watching, because I'm a little concerned about that you were a little confused. So I just want to bring some clarity. Okay, so here's what we did. We had the positive memory, and then we created an anchor neuro association with that positive memory. And then we're going into a negative memory to try and bring healing. Now, if you think about it, if we apply the anchor in that, we've just done exactly what we did in the positive memory. So we're contradicting. That's not what we want to do. Yeah. So what we want to do is we want to come away from that negativity. And then whilst we have that residual negativity, we do the happy anchor.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Bless you.
Thank you. So does anyone have any questions? We have a few people on the call. Well, whatever it is.
Okay.
So if you have any questions, or if you want Jamie to answer questions or to work with you, now would be your time to ask away. So, and Jamie, did you want to share with them the giveaway, how they can get that?
Oh, yeah, certainly. Okay, well, what I thought I would do is for this live, anyone who's on it, I'll put a link to a private Facebook group that is exclusive to the people on this live. So it's not going to be promoted, and there's not going to be like loads of people joining, just people on this live. So it means that we can chat among each other, we can make friends with each other, and I'll put up little tidbits and, like postings from time to time, about empowerment and healing and NLP and, even some metaphysical type content as well, because just like Daniela, I'm into that as well. So, that's what I'll do. So we can have a very close-knit group that, which is nicer than a large group where, there's very impersonal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this infographic on there, and anyone who doesn't join the group and wants it.
Somebody said.
Oh, okay.
Rihanna.
Yeah, Rihanna.
Hi, Rihanna. And that's what I was getting. Yeah, answer that one.
Oh, yeah, sure. So is it called a trigger or an anchor, or are they different? Well, yeah, it's just words, really. But this is how I would. Sorry?
But they are different from the way that you've described them.
Yeah, that's right. Well, okay, so an anchor, if you think of a literal anchor on a boat, so if you're out on a boat and you want to stay put in that spot in the ocean and not drift, you drop the anchor. And what that anchor does is it anchors you to the ocean floor so that you don't move. And so when we're having a memory, if we're trying to create a neuro association, like think of yourself as a boat and you're dropping the anchor, okay, so that you're like anchoring to that what you're thinking about, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
That's
it
great.
does.
Because is think of something that makes you feel really good and happy and empowered. Put the
Yeah.
anchor in, keep you
Yeah.
there on the ocean floor so you don't drift into sorrow or whatever emotion. You
Yeah.
want to stay with the anchor in that spot where you feel amazing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so basically, okay, what we're doing then, if we like draw the parallel, we're anchoring our happy, empowered emotional state with the memory of our greatest memory that made us feel that way, right? And we're doing that. So then, when it becomes a trigger, when we um, uh, repeat that physical action, like squeezing a stone. Some people clench their fist, but I think that's too a familiar thing, right? But when we do that, because we associate that action with that emotional state, that because we did that in that practice, then we trigger it, so then it becomes a trigger. But Rihanna, like, does that answer it, or do you feel that you want me to continue to explain it a little bit better? Sometimes I kind of wonder if I'm being clear enough.
Well, really, trigger has a negative connotation. Wouldn't you
Yeah.
agree? You
Oh,
don't
okay. What,
people
like a trigger of a gun?
triggers. It's not a
Yeah.
positive thing when somebody triggers you in general.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay. Yeah.
So a
Yeah. I see what
trigger
you
to
mean.
me is when we were thinking about our unhappy state. Something that triggers where you want to get back in your happy place.
Yeah. See, I think of it as like when you trigger the light switch, the light comes on. It's like a action reaction. That's that's the way I look at it. It's like action reaction. So, like you uh, you you do your index finger and thumb, or you whatever. Where's my? Oh, maybe it's a pen, right? Or whatever, you're squeezing a pen, or whatever the anchor is. Like, you've associated that physical action with that emotional state so many times that now it's like you flick a light switch, the light comes on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in that sense, it's a trigger. Yeah. So now, after I've done that so many times and I've created that neuro association.
You're saying trigger in a positive direction with that the emotion, the anchor. It's usually okay. Yeah, I got it, and then trigger it into a happier state. Got it.
Yeah.
Let's
Okay.
see.
All right.
So what did she just say? Yes, I understand. Excellent.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yes,
great.
a noun and a verb was before. And yes, I understand. So, as we're wrapping it up, does anyone else have any questions for Jamie? Or do you want him to help you work through something? Because I was truly traumatized a few months back or less, and to the point where I didn't even want to speak to Jamie, and we talk often because I was so traumatized I just couldn't deal. And he's like, no, I can help you with this. And as bad as the place that I was, the trigger for me was negative. He helped me. I was there within 15 minutes.
Sure.
That's what he did.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants him to help you, now is the time. Otherwise, we're going to wrap this up. If any Q&A, just speak now, forever hold your peace.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe if there's anyone there and whatever it is, it's maybe a little bit too personal that they don't want to do it on a live, they're very welcome to message me. So
Okay, and you were talking about the Facebook group and stuff like that. How, because you're going to share your, what did you call it? Like I know that you are doing a giveaway, but how are they going to get the information on the Facebook?
Oh yeah, well, I'll post the link to this live wherever I do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll post the link. I don't even know the link, but I will within an hour or two of this ending. I'll post it. So anyone who's been on this live, they'll get notified. They'll get pinged that it's been posted. I would imagine.
Okay. Is there anything else that your future endeavors that you would like to bring up?
Oh, sure.
Goals.
Yeah. Well, I'll also post a link to a blog that I'm doing called Untouchable Success. Is it Untouchable Success? Yes, I think it is. And I'm going to do there's a few blogs, so I'll post the links. I'm also undergoing my practitioner training. So there's that. And
Thank
no,
you.
I'm just sorry.
Brianna is loving this. I just posted. Thank you so much.
Oh, really? Oh, thank you, Rihanna. It's really nice to meet
And
you.
thank you,
Oh,
Glenda.
yeah, and Glenda. Yeah,
Yeah,
Glenda, you're faithful, Glenda. You've been here from the beginning. Yeah, I thank you so much.
guys, I cannot tell you enough. I would follow the link that Jamie will share with you later for the private Facebook group, because he's very generous with his time and his healing capabilities. I've even seen him in other groups on Facebook working with people. Remember when you were just healing strangers and stuff like that? Very powerful.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And not even just with NLP. He was
No, yeah,
healing,
absolutely.
and he's very, very good at what he does.
Oh,
So,
thank you. Thank
you're
you.
welcome.
But yeah, then there's like healing in a metaphysical sense, which is a totally different field, but I'm well into that as well. And actually, do you know what? Just another little tidbit. This is just something that, and it kind of relates. Do you mind? Have we got time to spend a minute on this? Okay. I wonder if everyone's still with us, but do you see a number? Do you see a number of people? Because I don't see that on my screen.
Right now, we've gone down to 2, we've got up to 20. Yeah, now we have 6. So go ahead.
All right, yeah. Okay, so I did a video on my channel at one time, and it was about how to heal a headache, right? Because, you know, oftentimes when I get a headache, now I know that most people watching are American, and in the UK, we have what's called paracetamol, and I don't think you have
American?
Sorry?
You're not American?
What, paracetamol?
No, I said you're not American.
Oh no. no, I'm not. No, I think America's lovely though. It's a lovely place. Anyway, yeah. So in the UK, we've got what we call paracetamol. I think it's like ibuprofen. You have, don't you?
Yeah.
Ibuprofen, right? And I never pronounced that right. That's a similar thing. So you know when you get a headache, you take 1 or 2 of those, don't you? Right, and it eases your headache. And I do that too. I'm human. You know, sometimes a headache gets the better of you, and you take a couple of pills. Right, it is the right thing to do. But you know, sometimes I ease off a little bit and wait and see if I can deal with it myself. And I try with a very high success rate. And what I do is, if I've got a headache, I visualize my headache, right? But now obviously your headache is not a tangible thing, right? But I make it a tangible thing, right? Because, you know, it's like in the last video, we were talking about how the subconscious mind cannot differentiate between reality and fantasy, right? What you create in your mind, it's real so far as your mind is concerned, right? And so what I do is I will make my headache tangible, and I solidify it, and I make it into a solid object, and then I shrink it to the size of a pea, right? And it takes a minute to really kind of get into the spirit of it, and then once I do that, then I can expel it, right? And that's what I do. So I do it in various ways, you know, like blast it with light or whatever, maybe you know, make it into powder or whatever, you know, there's different things. Or sometimes I even pull it out of my head. So, you know, I'm like, it's like it becomes like a thread, right? And I'm pulling it out. And if you really if you really vividly do this, you know, oftentimes when you make that conscious, very conscious, deliberate, you know, trying to like, you know, to harness that headache, solidify it, shrink it down, make it the size of a pea, you know, it's very like you can pinpoint it and then you can remove it. And that's worked for me. And, you know, when I'm healing other people, I do that on their behalf. And I've, you know, I have a good bit of success as well. But you know what? Like, yes, you can ask me to heal you. But you can also have a go yourself, because I'm nobody special. You know, I mean, it's just using your, you know, just believing in yourself. It's
So
what it
what
really
you're
boils
saying
down
is we
to.
all have healing abilities.
Absolutely, I totally believe that. What about you? Well, I know you do.
You know,
I
I
know
do.
you do. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We all have these abilities, and
Mm.
the information that Jamie's sharing with you, like, I think you're like me, where you like to help empower people.
Oh yeah, of course,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, it's great. No, I love that. I
So
love that. I love positive interactions and like empowering people, being empowered by people. It's great.
yeah, because you're a very positive person. So
Oh, thank you.
I highly recommend checking Jamie out, because he's going to be growing more and more in the
Checking
future.
me out.
Um,
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
future, and
yeah.
I am a little pissed off that you didn't tell me that you're from England. I'm like, made a fool.
Oh man. Oh.
But because you're going to be, this is your goal, right? To have this become more and more a part of your life, like your norm.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I love this stuff. This is my passion. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, definitely.
So you
So
love helping people, and this is just one, like, way that you do it.
yeah,
So I really appreciate, because now it is what, almost 11 o'clock your time.
yeah, 10 to 11. Yeah.
So Jamie needs to get his beauty rest. He's been staying up late to speak with us tonight and do his healing work. So I really appreciate you sharing time with us. So
Oh
thank
yeah.
you so much. Is there anything else that you want to share, like a way to find you or anything like that?
Oh, yeah. Well, hey, if you're on Daniella's Facebook, I'm Daniella's friend. So in her friends, you can find me, and then you can add me as a friend. So you can
Oh,
do
that's a
that.
great idea.
I put my links. Sorry.
That's a wonderful idea.
Yeah. It's a good idea. That's how people find people, isn't it?
Do
Usually.
me a favor, say your name properly.
Oh yeah, Jamie Smale. Yeah, Daniela always like gets worried that she can't pronounce my name.
One, I'm American. Two, well, bring the two this way, former New Yorker. So I do my best.
Yeah.
It
Oh
is
yeah.
what it is.
You'll be fine. Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you very much. Everyone, thank you for joining us tonight. Love to all. I hope this was helpful. And if you guys, I'm going to have Jamie on again. I released something today, but I'm going to do another interview with Catherine, and she speaks to animals, deceased and alive, and she's able to help them emotionally. Some of us just have these gifts, and we don't always have the paperwork to go with them yet. But Catherine was greatly able to help my 8-year-old rescue Beagle. So that's something else to look at. But if you guys have something in particular, I'm getting really cool friends. So who you would like me to speak with, and I will start sharing these things, because it all amuses me, because I'm talking to my friends. What a life, huh, Dame? What a life.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Great fun. Yeah.
All
It's
right.
great fun spending your evenings chatting about subjects you like. Like, do you remember you and we did a session on aliens once, didn't we?
Right.
And that was great fun.
Black hole. We've done a lot.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and have a wonderful evening. And happy holidays.
And thank you from me as well. I've enjoyed myself. Thank you.